Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Lebanon Utility Service Board for Wednesday, October 9th, 2024. Let the record show that this meeting was properly advertised and all board members are present tonight. Also had a working and executive session prior. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under
All right, we'd like to offer public comment now and then toward the end of the meeting as well. Anyone here from the public have any comments tonight? I don't see any public comment at the moment, but we will offer it again later. First action item is the approval of our minutes from the September 18th, 2024 meeting. Everyone had a chance to review those minutes, and if so, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion we approve the minutes for September the 18th, 2024.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Ann to approve the minutes from the September 18th, 2024 meeting. Any questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next item tonight is with our Chief Financial Officer, Sandra Morgan. And she is going to discuss our Acumatica account numbers. Sounds interesting, Sandra.
It's always interesting, and it's always a good day when I get to go in front of Ryan, who will be here the rest of the night.
may not get a chance if you don't.
That's right. So as everyone's aware, we are converting, and we're almost done. We're supposed to go live next week. Our accounting system from Dynamics SL, which we've been using since 2001. So about 23 years worth of account numbers have been going in there. As part of this conversion, we are cleaning all of that up, and we're eliminating unneeded accounts that we haven't used for 10 or 15 years. And the reason I'm here today is because I did contact the State Board of Accounts, and they did recommend that we have the board approve the changeover from the old numbers to the new numbers. So at 27 pages, I'm not going to read through all of this, but I am requesting that the board approve the new account numbers with Acumatica.
All right. Thanks, Sandra. Anybody want Sandra to read every page? Any questions for Sandra, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve the new Acumatica account numbers and descriptions that will be used to code all Lebanon Utilities transactions.
Second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Bill to approve the new Acumatica account numbers and descriptions used to code all Lebanon Utilities transactions. Any additional discussion or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thanks, Sandra.
All right, thank you.
All right. Next item is our electric apprenticeship and safety program. And I think our general manager, Ed, is going to address this.
Yes, thank you. Over the past few months, we've been looking very closely at our electric lineman apprenticeship program, as well as our safety program at Lebanon Utilities. And we've done some very thorough research, and we believe that the IMPA program better aligns with our current needs than the IMEA program. We like both organizations and work with them a lot, but some of the considerations include the IMPA program gives us 70 plus experts. There's a lot more structure, a lot more advanced training opportunities. And therefore, I'm recommending that the board approve management to make the change from the IMEA electric apprenticeship program and safety program to the IMPA program. And we're still work closely with IMEA. We're still in IMEA, and we appreciate them. And we just want to thank the board for their considerations and open it up to any questions.
All right. Thanks, Ed. Questions for Ed on this item?
Did this go before the personnel committee? I'm just curious.
Yes, sir. It went before the personnel committee, and we had extensive and more detailed discussions with them. And I guess I can let personnel committee speak for themselves. I think they approve of it.
Yes. Yes, what?
Aaron asked if it went before the personnel committee. Yes, it did.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Anything else? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve management to make the change from the IMEA Electric Apprenticeship Program to the IMPA TVPPA Electric Apprenticeship Program and Safety Program.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Bill to approve management to make the change from IMEA Electric Apprenticeship to the EMPA TV PPA Electric Apprenticeship Program and Safety Program. Any additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will jump to Ryan now. He has a few items here. First being the Grant Street water and wastewater improvements. Hey, Ryan.
Good afternoon. The first item on my agenda of many items is the approval for the design agreement with BF&S for the Grant Street water main and wastewater and the sewer collection routing for the Grant Street project. This project is actually probably 8 to 10 months away, but for NDOT, we have to have everything in here in the next few weeks. I believe that timeframe's right, but it's a pretty aggressive schedule to have everything approved ahead of time. So it's a 2025 budgeted project, but this will allow everything to be submitted and be within that NDOT project. We originally thought that this was going to just be an upsize, but based on the plans, that will not be, the upsize will not be an option. So we're actually going to just go ahead and we'll have to do the water main and everything through the utilities. So we'll be upgrading from an 8-inch main to a 16-inch water main. There's a little bit of sewer work in that area. We do have about 4 houses that are just go to one, they're on, their laterals go to one lateral. And we want to make sure and separate that. So we're going to have a lateral for each house instead of it all going together. And there are some manholes in conflict. Usually we can move those structures, but these are brick, a little bit older than what we currently have. So you can't move those. So we're going to have to put new manholes in. So that will be, that part of that project will be on the 2025 budget. It was not in the, it was not in the 2025 budget yet, based on, the CIP. But we realize with the NDOT project, it makes the most sense to go ahead and tackle that now as opposed to everything being brand new and then trying to go back and tear everything up and do the wastewater portion of that. This does continue our extension of the 16-inch main down Indianapolis Avenue, where eventually we will get to the Park Street water tower and give us a good kind of backbone of a 16-inch water main from Park Street water tower connected to the Abner Longley water storage tank, and then all the way south just past the 4-H fairgrounds. So as development is projected to go that way, we'll be able to provide the water for that. So I can answer any questions that the board might have on this item.
Right, thanks, Ryan. Questions for Ryan on the Grant Street water, wastewater improvements? Not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the Butler Farm Cyphers agreement for design work for water and wastewater improvement for the Grant Street NDOT road project.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, and I think Ann snuck in the second for the Grant Street water, wastewater improvement BF&S agreement for design work on the Grant Street NDOT road project. Any additional discussion or questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Ryan, we'll jump to the wastewater treatment plan expansion amendment number 1.
Yeah, this is an amendment to, the board's already previously approved, and we kind of touched on it in the working session, the Wessler PER for the wastewater treatment plant expansion. This amendment, after conversations with Citizens Energy Group, this amendment will be to add to that PER, a PER for effluent flow from the wastewater treatment plant to the watershed, the The exact location has not been determined. That's what the PER will help us determine, but it will go back to the watershed that we are, purchasing water from. And which does make sense. And I feel like we would be asking for the same. We do have Amy Harvell here from Wessler. If we have any questions that I cannot answer, but this will just further along that PER and have it ready. The effluent expansion will not take away from the amount of flow that we currently put into Prairie Creek. So this will be part of the purchased water that we have. Part of that flow will go back into that watershed. The water from our watershed will stay in our watershed, so it won't impact anything that we currently do. This will be in addition to that, and it won't be part of phase one. We're looking more for after phase two of any purchased water this will kind of take place, but it is a little bit more challenging. Expanding the wastewater treatment plant is a challenge, but the effluent where we release the water is staying in the same spot. So there's no environmental, extra environmental issues that are concerns that would would take place with the expansion. But with the effluent, making sure it goes to the right location, making sure that it's all environmental friendly and meets all of, IDEM protocol and everything that goes with that. That is a little bit trickier. So this amendment will allow Wessler to get started on that and have everything ready by the time that we need to begin constructing that effluent line. And this will also will come out of the bond for LEAP. So it was not a budgeted item, but it will be part of just like the original PER for Wessler was. So I can answer any questions on that. If there's something I can't answer, Amy I don't know if she'd be super happy to come up here, but she would be able to answer any questions that we may have.
I have a question. How did we come up with $133,500?
So that is, if on the agreement, it looks like the page 3 of 4, it has kind of the breakdown of the costs associated with that and how it got to 133.
Yeah, it looks like it's got the wastewater treatment expansion, the effluent return force main. What else?
So the total amount is 133. What the addition is the bold bottom two in this. So maybe I did not. That's a good question. Maybe it shouldn't be 133. It should just be the 66,000 plus the 19,000. Is that your question, Mr. Stoner?
It should be 67,000 what?
Well, so I'm wondering if the 48,000 was already approved. It looks like and then I'm just asking for the additional to get us to a total for the PER. So this would basically bring the total for the PER to 133,500 for the with the amendment added to it.
So the
That's a Jeff.
133 is a total cost for the entire proposed project.
Yes, for the PER portion.
yes.
Yes, absolutely.
And it comes out of the bond for the LEAP.
Yes. Yeah, it will. It's not part of the Lebanon Utilities. It's part of the the wastewater treatment plant expansion. This is just an additional amendment to that.
I guess in context, this makes sense to me. We originally approved $48,500, and it's and that was for the expansion of the sewer plant. Well, this is a lot more complex work. It's going to be going places that we're not familiar with. We don't know where it's going yet, but it's going to have a lot more to it than just expanding our wastewater plant. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, especially on the environmental impact, it's essential that we get that right. And so that's what this amendment will ensure with that PER will help do.
So you want to leave it the way it currently reads?
Jeff, how do you think the motion should be worded?
I would change it to the 85,000 rather than the, is that, if I'm hearing you right? that that's-
85,000 the correct number?
66 plus 19 is 85,000.
Not to exceed for the total amount though, right? It's an amendment. Might be a Sandra question.
Jeff, can we approve it and approve the amendment of 85,000 for a total not to exceed of the 133?
Yeah, that would be perfect. Thank you.
And that's what, I'd agree with that.
Hey, Ryan, I had a question for Amy, partly because she's talked about in these meetings so much, how much she helps you. But the question is, IDEM approves our discharge limits for Prairie Creek. And are we expecting similar limits where we discharge where it goes to Eagle Creek? Or is it going to point to more treatment?
I will let Amy come on up here and ask.
Hello, everyone. I will do my best to answer that. Yes, IDEM does establish your limits to Prairie Creek. They will review the limits when we do an effluent limitation request. They're not going to exactly be the same. It's going to be based on the flow that can go through that yet undecided point, specific to that outfall location. So they'll be similar to the pollutants, but I can't say that they will be exactly the same.
Good answer. I mean, so the total maximum daily load or the TMDL might be different for that creek. I just wanted to highlight for the board that there's a small chance that if that's a low limit where you guys want to discharge, there might have to be some addition to this PER to have a lower TSS number or something before it can go there.
Correct. It's a possibility.
Okay.
And that the PER will evaluate if that type of an additional treatment is necessary.
Okay, and you have to talk to Tony Green a lot with the retreatment program, right? So is that going okay?
It's going great.
Is that an expense in here, an additional expense?
Thanks, Amy. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions for Ryan or Amy? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I got it, I think.
I got it.
Got the new motion?
Go ahead.
Okay.
I move to approve the Western Engineering Amendment Number 1 for the wastewater treatment plant expansion in an amount not to exceed $85,000 for a total not to exceed of $133,500.
Second.
Motion made by Aaron, seconded by Tim to approve the Western Engineering Amendment Number 1 for the wastewater treatment plant expansion with a total not to exceed amount of $133,500, changes being an increase of $85,000. Any additional questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Ryan, 120 water renewal.
Yes, I do want to, as part of this renewal, I want to update the board. We have submitted our audit for lead-based lines to IDEM. We are about 10 days early, but it was a suggestion through 120 Water of concerns of everyone submitting on the very same day and causing some issues. And just with all the unknowns, we've not had to do this before. So we did get our inventory submitted, and which keeps us in compliance with IDEM and EPA for the first phase of the new lead and copper rule. We're still continuing to try to update some of our unknowns, continuing to try to update our map and everything else, and we're allowed to do that. But what we have submitted does keep us in compliance. So that was a critical first step. The next step, so part of my request will be just for another year, or I'm sorry, a 2-year service with, as a yearly service contract with 120 Water. Many of you are aware, we've had 120 Water on a virtual meeting, and we're looking to schedule another virtual meeting with them to continue to answer questions as this develops. IDEM on their website for lead and copper, 120 Water is the preferred vendor with IDEM because they do such a good job. And we were actually, not to pat utilities on the back, but we actually were a customer of 120 Water before IDEM made that suggestion. So we've kind of been ahead of the game with 120 Water and have a great relationship. So part of my ask would be that we continue that relationship. But then as part of our next phase of compliance, we will have to send out letters. Letters to any homes that could have a lead service line, and or we just don't know what is on the private side of the meter. We have a great inventory, over 90% accuracy of our side of the meter, but this is the first time that we've ever had to get the private side. And we were able to, we requested records from the county on when year homes were built to see if they were built before or after the lead service line ban. And, we've used our internal records. We've used operator records, and we've got a guy like Bob Akers who's been here over 30 years, knows when they put this in, it was all whether it was copper, whether it was plastic, or whatever the case may be. It knows that, so we're allowed to use that also. But the next step will be to notify homeowners via letter, and then with that letter, there'll be instructions on who to call, what to do. We are going to schedule training with customer service, so they kind of have a script, so they're not just fielding any phone calls out of left field. They'll be able to, and that's part of 120 Water service, and part of the cost of the letters is also the mailing, and then the return. Any return mailing will go to 120 Water and not have to come through our customer service, and they'll keep that in their database, and they'll manage all that for us to take because it would be, customer service is busy enough as it is. We don't want to put any undue extra work on them. So part of my request will also be for the cost of those letters, and those letters are that's a maximum amount that we would have. We're going to be able to peel a few more off of there where we won't have to send, or we can let them know that they were on the list of unknown. But since we submitted, anybody that's in an unknown list, we will give them a letter. That's per the IDEM and EPA. But if we are able to determine that they do not have anything lead based or on the private side, we can also add to that we, through our investigations, that we were able to determine that they do not have that, to put them at ease. But no matter what, if you mark them as unknown in your inventory, you automatically, to stay in compliance, will have to send a letter out. So those will be going out. To be in compliance, you have to send them within 30 days of the submission deadline. So the submission deadline is next week, then toward the end of next week. So we'll have 30 days after that to get those letters out. The body of the letter and all the verbiage on the letter is per EPA. That's the EPA's letter that they recommend sending out, and 120 Water recommends sending out. So that way, anybody, even in a different community, if they got a letter, the letters would read the same. And
What's your opinion of the letter language?
It's, there's going to be a little bit of confusion, I think, with any letter that comes in. And if you just don't know or aren't aware of, you didn't build your house, it's the 7th or 8th house you've been in or whatever, you just may not know. But I do like that there's some steps in there that, if you have some concerns, what you can do. The language is what it is. But like I said, it is the EPA's what they recommend sending out. And 120 Water also recommended that. So if we do want to edit that or change that, that
I was
is,
just curious from a layperson standpoint, if the letter's understandable.
I mean, it is, and it covers what we need to cover. And then, we're available for any questions or concerns that the public might have. That's our real role is, as these letters go out, we want to make sure we support the public if they have any concerns or questions, and everybody that will deal with the public will be educated on the message that we want to give back.
Yeah, I would say it's probably consistent with what 120 Water is doing and consistent with what EPA wants. So we should probably stick with that. But I would also say that Ryan's a little bit more than a layperson. He probably understands it better than the average person. It is a little hard to understand, but it's part of the rules hard to understand. There's some issues we're still working out as far as what the next steps are after this one. So we're just trying to be consistent and meet the requirements put on us by IDEM and EPA.
I am a layperson when it comes to reading mail. I struggle to keep up with that. So I can relate to when letters come in, they kind of get put in a pile. So we'll recommend if anybody does get one to read it, and feel free to reach out in the contact information provided, and we will be there to walk them through any questions that they might have.
I noticed that if we send out 4,282 of these notification letters, that's 62% of our total customers. So that just sort of set me back a little bit and made me frown a little bit. And
large number. It's a large number, but
I'm hoping that that number doesn't have lid.
Well, and yeah, I'm based on the percentages of our known, what we know, that I don't have any concerns that it will be a large number. But like I said, this is the first time we've ever had to take in the public and private side of the meter. So there's where your unknowns come in. The public side, we were actually identifying any lead lines or anything like that on our side when Bob Waples was here. So, probably a decade ago. And a perfect example is the Meridian Street project. When they redid that, there were some lead lines there. We knew ahead of time because we had an inventory. So we were able to eliminate all that and put all brand new in based on that construction project. So we've had our inventory down much better than, according to 120 Water, most communities when this all started. It's just the unknown. And, basically on the other side of the meter, there's a chance, to vac out, to check every meter, you'd have to go on private property in order to do that. So we have to find alternative ways to try to identify those lines.
Yeah, and Ryan could probably speak to this in more detail, but we had some internal meetings where we looked at from GIS what date the subdivision went in, and you could estimate that we probably have a very low number of lead lines because they stopped using lead after a certain date. But that's not good enough for IDEM or EPA. They want this survey. And so we're being conservative. We're hopeful of a lower number, but these are the letters we need to send out. Ryan, is that about right? Or
yes, yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah, my concerns with that number being high is my concerns are very low with that. But if we don't know for sure, then we have to mark it unknown. That's just per EPA and IDEM standards.
So I kind of did a quick search to see what the EPA notice is for the unknown service lines. And it looks like there's a space at the bottom that, at least on the form provided by EPA, that the local utility can put in that opportunities for the consumer to verify the material. Is 120 Water proposing to fill in some information to kind of give some local guidance to our consumers?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I appreciate you bringing that up. So there will be the guidance in there of how you can verify, or some of the troubleshooting ways you can go through the verification process to help us understand. And then they will be able to mail back prepaid postage and, or go to the website. I think there's a QR code that'll be associated with it, or call 120 Water and verify on that address. But yes, and they will also be available. The contact information will have Lebanon Utilities and 120 Water, so they'll be available to help walk through that also.
Okay.
Right. Anything else for Ryan on the 120 water renewal? Not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the invoice letter mailing for the 120 water in the amount not to exceed $26,781.98.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Ann to approve the invoice and letter mailing from 120 Water in an amount not to exceed $26,781.98. Additional questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Ryan, you're still up for a little bit. We've got the BF&S wastewater collection LEAP PER.
Yes, we're on the downhill of my 5 items, so we're getting closer. This is the request for approval of a PER for the wastewater or collection system in LEAP. We are actively doing PER for the wastewater treatment plant expansion, but we have to get it here. And we have some large volume customers that we were going to have to consider. So the PER in this section will cover that. And there's a number of things that will be included: regional lift stations, force mains, and large gravity interceptors where you collect a large amount of wastewater, then bring it to the plant, as opposed to trying to get it all to the plant at different routes. So, you have a large interceptor, and then you can bring a force main to the plant and collect that. Obviously, LEAP customers will be responsible for hooking into our system and their own, if their development needs a private lift station or whatever the case may be. But this will be this will be for the public collections system in this. And this will also be part of the SRF funding and will come out of that, not Lebanon Utilities. And I do have all the Johns that work at Butler, Fairman, and Seifert, both John Brand and John Leitner. So if you have a question for either one, I know they'd be more than happy to come up and answer.
I have a question. We're approving tonight the preparation of the PER. The actual PER will come to us for another vote. Is that correct?
Come on up, John.
So clear up one inaccuracy, we have a lot more Johns at our company, but that's okay. So it will go through the same process that you're seeing all of our drinking water PER go through. So we will, again, we'll draft the PER, draft the environmental sections. It will have to go through public hearing, public comment, and then we'll have ultimately a PER acceptance resolution to be approved.
Before the public hearing, will this board approve it?
Not necessarily, no. The public hearing is part of the PER. The resolution address. Correct. So sections 1 through 3 are kind of general information. 4 and 5 are project specific. Section 6 is public participation and comment.
Will we approve the PER after the public hearing?
Yes, there's a PER acceptance resolution that will have to come before the board.
Thank you.
John, 1 second. I just want to clarify. I think the wastewater PER or preliminary engineering report, Wessler's doing the plant part, and they're also doing the discharge line we just approved today. And this collections line, it fits into the master planning you've been doing, working with others and on our water side, getting the water to the plant. But it's going to be one meeting for wastewater PER where you and Wessler put it together and have one meeting, and it's going to be later in the year.
Correct. And we still need to work out some of those details with Wessler. We might also end up just going ahead and putting these PERs all together as one big package.
Yes.
Is kind of how how I saw it. We've been working together as a team, Wessler BFS and obviously Lebanon Utilities and many others to try to get this whole program, water and wastewater, to the finish line and get some infrastructure built on a short time frame.
And you guys have both been doing a great job. I was just trying to clarify because I think Commissioner Smith's question was if he's going to get a chance to approve it. And the process is you get the work done and we have some internal reviews and then there's a public hearing where public has input and then there's a board meeting where it gets approved.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Other questions on the LEAP PER? Not, I entertain a motion.
I move to approve that Butler, Fairman, and Seifert prepare a preliminary engineering report for LEAP wastewater collections for a not-to-exceed amount of $34,600.
Second.
Motion made by Aaron, seconded by Tim to approve the BFNS preliminary engineering report for LEAP wastewater collections for a not-to-exceed amount of $34,600. Any additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Ryan, looks like your final item here, the wastewater treatment plant water process line.
Yeah, there's kind of a lot going on with this. So we have a 4-inch water line that feeds the wastewater treatment plant's the operating process. And basically the design of that line is not allowing for enough pressure for all the process to happen at the same time. For instance, if we have the centrifuge going and then, we try to use the grit chamber at the same time and use the water at the same time, one of those buildings has little to no water pressure. And so what we want to do is address that. It's been an ongoing issue and we've Tony Green and his crew have put as many Band-Aids and Bob Akers has helped with the plumbing on this to try to keep it going as long as possible. But as we generate more flow and this equipment continues to work harder, the need to improve that line and have it properly engineered in order to do that is a necessity. So my request would be to approve BFNS to help with this design and the entire process. With that, we will coordinate with Wessler Engineering in order to make sure when this line goes in, it's not smack dab in the middle of the expansion. It has to be moved again. What we'll do is make sure that when we put it in once, it's in the correct area. It's going to be what we need, where we need it, and it won't have to be moved. Okay, well, phase 1, you got to move it here. Phase 2, you have to move it here because we continue to put it in the way. So we'll make sure and coordinate that as part of the installation of this water main. And this will be on the budget item. It will be in the unforeseen repairs and replacement budget. And there is enough money in there to cover this.
There is?
Yes. So based on the July financials I looked at, there was enough money in the
To do the study, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, for the amount of 112,100. Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions for Ryan on this process line? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve Butler, Fairman, and Seifert agreement for the wastewater treatment plant process water project for $112,100.
Second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Bill to approve the BFNS agreement for the wastewater treatment plant process water project for $112,100. Anything additional? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Ryan, you're off the hook for now.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, next item tonight is our legal counsel, Jeff Jacob, will be reading Resolution 2024-09, amending general terms and conditions for the electric service.
Thank you, Board. As a update, We have discussed, received confirmation, I believe this week, that the ordinance withdrawing from the IURC has been accepted and by the IURC and recognized. And this resolution is in response to that action and part of the impetus behind moving forward with that action. Resolution number 2024-09 reads as follows. Whereas the City of Lebanon, Indiana owns and operates through its utility service board a municipal electric utility known as Lebanon Utilities for the purpose of providing safe, reliable, and efficient electric utility services in and around the city pursuant to Indiana Code 8-1.5, other applicable provisions of Indiana law. Whereas the city has in the last several years and will continue for the foreseeable future experience unprecedented growth and development within its electric service territory. Whereas the cost of transformers, wire, and other equipment needed to provide electrical service to newly developing areas of the city have increased in cost significantly. Whereas consistent with the practice of other electric utilities in and around the city, the board believes that the developer of property should pay for the development of the electrical system needed to serve the proposed development. Whereas the board recommended to the Common Council of the City of Lebanon, Indiana, the adoption of Resolution 2015-03, establishing the general terms and conditions for electric service for its customers. Whereas the City Council adopted Ordinance 2015-09, which approved the general terms and conditions for electric service. Whereas the board wishes to amend the general terms and conditions for electric service and recommends the City Council the amendment of Ordinance 2015-09 with respect to the electrical system costs related to the development of land. Whereas the suggested amended portions of general terms and conditions for electric service are attached as Exhibit A, and whereas based on the foregoing, the board recommends to the City Council that it amend Ordinance 2015 consistent with this resolution. And then to summarize the amendments, we've added, in essence, we've amended the terms in the Section 9 will replace into the general terms and conditions the language as set out in Exhibit A, but in essence, we are suggesting that the language be modified so that the on-site costs for electric service for development or property owner be placed onto that be borne by the developer of that property, and the off-site cost improvement of the utility system be paid for by the utility, subject to a estimated total revenue analysis, which would result in a contribution in aid of construction.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Questions for Jeff on this particular resolution?
I'd just like to make note that this is an important resolution because we're experiencing and happily experiencing so much growth and anticipate so much more growth that the cost of providing free electric infrastructure to developers is growing to the point where we could not continue to do so without a rate increase for our ratepayers. And this will keep that from happening, and it's a very important resolution, and I sincerely hope the City Council and Mayor agrees with us.
Thank you, Aaron. Any other comments, questions? Yeah, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution number 2024-09, recommending amendment to the general terms and conditions of electric service.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Ann to approve resolution 2024-09, recommending amendment to the general terms and conditions of electric service. Any additional comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, our council will handle the next item as well, and that's approval of a land acquisition.
Yes, we had as in our discussed executive session, we have some property that easement we need to acquire, and I would recommend that the board authorize the the approval to acquire that easement related to the wheeling.
Right. Questions for Jeff on this? Not, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we move to approve and extend the easement acquisition of property on County Road 300 North with the transmission line project.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Tim to approve the easement acquisition of property on County Road 300 North for the transmission line project. Additional discussion or questions?
You want that to read, I move to approve to extend the easement acquisition property? Council?
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
All right, as noted, that change on the motion. We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Next item is the approval of our claims, payroll, and transfers dated October 9th, 2024. Everyone had a chance to review those items? And if so, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the claims payroll transfers dated October 9th, 2024 in the amount of $4,577,615.51 for claims and payroll and $8,873,850.14 for transfers.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Ann to approve the claims, payrolls, and transfers dated October 9th, 2024. Any additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next item is any other business. Does anyone from the board have anything else they'd like to bring up? Ed, anything tonight?
No, sir.
All right, we'll offer the opportunity for public comment again, and don't see anyone here with comments. Ed, anything to report from your desk?
Yes, sir.
All right, looks like our next meeting is currently scheduled for October 23rd at 5 p.m. And if there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Bill, seconded by Ann to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.